So we are going to start again the same story, An Angel in Disguise. And take out page number 85. Yesterday we have seen the last thing where Maggie was being brought home of Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. And Mrs. Joe Thompson was not ready to accept her, and she wanted that Mr. Joe Thompson should send her back to the poor house. But Joe Thompson anyhow managed to make the situation calm and quiet, and slowly Mrs. Joe Thompson had an acquaintance with Maggie, and she had little soft corner for her. And when Joe arrived from his work, he saw them talking to each other, and he understood the thing is going on well. They had their dinner. Joe had a conversation with Maggie, and then we will see what happened later on. The last line of page 84, we can see Mrs. Joe said that she can wait until we are done, then I will bring her something to eat. There was an effort at indifference on the part of Mrs. Thompson, but her husband had seen her through the window and understood that the coldness was assumed. Joe waited after sitting down to the table for his wife to introduce the subject uppermost in both of their thoughts, but she kept silent on that theme. Now Mr. Joe understood that she is now quite well with Maggie, but she don't want to show it to Mr. Joe Thompson. So he wanted that Mrs. Joe Thompson should start the conversation, say something about the girl. But she kept silent for many minutes, and he maintained a like reserve. At last she said abruptly, "What are you going to do with that child?" They both kept silent. Now finally she said, "Now what you are going to do with the child?" "I thought you understood me that she was to go to the poor house," replied Joe as if surprised at her question. He said, "You know that. I told that I have to take her to the poor house." Mrs. Thompson looked rather strangely at her husband for sonic moments, and then dropped her eyes. For a little time she looked at her husband, and slowly she looked down. The subject was not again referred to during the meal. At its close, Mrs. Thompson toasted a slice of bread and softened it with milk and butter. Adding to this a cup of tea, she took them into Maggie and held the small waiter on which she had placed them, while the hungry child ate with every sign of pleasure. What she did, after completing her dinner, she arranged the toast, tea, butter, milk, everything she arranged, and on a tray she took it for Maggie. And Maggie, as you know, she was really very hungry from a long time. She ate every bit of that slice with full pleasure. She was so happy. And even that thing was not so great thing. Nothing like great thing, only bread and butter, milk and all this thing. But that also Maggie ate with pleasure and full gratitude. "Is it good?" asked Mrs. Thompson, seeing with what a keen relish the food was taken. The way Maggie was eating it with full happiness, Mrs. Thompson asked, "Is it good?" The child paused with the cup in her hand and answered a look of gratitude that awoke to new life old human feelings which had been slumbering in her heart for half a score of years. When Mrs. Joe Thompson said, "Is it good?" she, with a gratitude, she was holding the cup, she looked at Mrs. Thompson, and that look, that "I am so pleased," that look took out that old feeling what was having inside Mrs. Thompson. Like from a long time she was deep-rooted hatred for children. No, actually it was not her problem, because she was childless. So she was not knowing how to show love to a child, and she was always cursing herself for it. Now I am not having child and all, what I will do. But seeing this little child look and the happiness that she showed took away that old humanity, that old nature of Mrs. Joe Thompson. "We will keep her a day or two longer. She is so weak and helpless," said Mrs. Joe Thompson. What she said to her husband, that "we will keep her for a day or two. She is very weak. Means you should not take her to the poor house. Keep her here." in answer to her husband's remark at breakfast time on the next morning that he must step down and see the guardians of the poor about Maggie. Now when the husband said, I am going to see for her guardian, then Mrs. Thompson said, don't do it now, she is very weak, we will keep her for 2-3 days, we keep her. She will be so much in your way, said Joe. I shan't mind that for a day or two, poor thing. Mrs. Joe said, I don't mind it. Ready, let her be little healthy. Joe did not see the guardians of the poor on that day, on the next, nor on the day following. Actually, Maggie had no guardian. And Joe was not actually going to see the guardian because he don't know about them. And he only made up the story to make Mrs. Joe Thompson a little bit calm. But now he understood that his wife is also interested in the child. So he just moved on, he just lingered on. He never saw them at all on Maggie's account, for in less than a week, Mrs. Joe Thompson would as soon leave thought of taking up her own abode in the almshouse as sending Maggie there, because he knew. Now in one day, Mrs. Thompson is so attached to her. She's saying keep her for 1-2 days more. Now in 1 week she will stay with Maggie, she will start loving her. And she will never want to leave her. And Mr. Joe knew that now he is not going to take Maggie anywhere else. What light and blessing did that sick and helpless child bring to the home of Joe Thompson, the poor wheelwright. Now this line is said by the author. The author says, what the light and blessing this little girl has brought to the house of Joe Thompson. It had been dark and cold and miserable there for a long time. Now this sentence, dark and cold and miserable, it is actually a kind of the way he is personifying it. Dark and cold doesn't mean the house was dark, no electricity. Means the dullness in the house, without children. It was so miserable, so cold condition, just because his wife had nothing to love and care for out of herself. And so became so irritable, ill-tempered and self-afflicting in the desolation of her woman's nature. Underline it. Because she was not having anyone to take care or love. That is why Mrs. Joe Thompson became what? Sore, irritable, ill-tempered and self-afflicting in the desolation of her woman's nature. Usually how do people become selfish? When they are all alone. No one to share anything. No one to love. So they become what? They only think about themselves. And they feel so isolated. This is the reason Mrs. Joe Thompson became isolated. And now the sweetness of that sick child, looking ever to her in love, patience and gratitude, was as honey to her soul. Underline it. The love and patience what Maggie showed to her, that was as honey to her soul, and she carried her in her heart as well as in her arms. The way Maggie was treating Mrs. Joe Thompson and Mr. Joe Thompson, Mrs. Joe Thompson started loving her, carrying her and taking care of her. A precious burden. I told her again this line will come. A precious burden. It was not just a burden, it was a precious burden for them. Why they called it burden? Because she was bedridden. She cannot walk, she cannot run around. So they have to take care. But taking care of Maggie was not a burden for them. It was a precious burden for them. And as for Joe Thompson, there was not a man in all the neighborhood who drank daily of a more precious wine of life than he. Now, drank daily of more precious wine means precious wine is not real alcohol. Precious wine, he is saying the precious love and the gestures what he is getting from Maggie. That was so good for her life. Like drinking alcohol is what? Bad for life. But drinking this precious wine, he is drinking this love of this little girl, made their life changed. An angel had come into his house, disguised as a sick, helpless and miserable child, and filled all its dreary chambers with the sunshine of love. Actually, Maggie, they are resembling as what? Angel. An angel has come to their house in what form? As a sick, miserable child who have made their dairy, means the dry chambers of their life, which was really dry up, nothing to do. That she filled with the sunshine of love. Like it is, you might have heard also in your holy books that God always come not in a form of a king. He always come in a form of what? A beggar or a needy person. Why? Because then only he can test us. If a great person will come to your house, definitely you will invite him. But if a beggar comes, what we do? Go away, we have nothing to do. Don't enter my house. If he is very hungry or shivering with cold, many people, like very few people will take care of that man. Usually we send them out, chuck them out. And that's why the God tests us. Always the God comes in the form of a poor person, not as a rich person. So here saying, angel has come to their house. If a very beautiful girl, very active girl would have come, what the use? That is all. All are saying. But she was sick, miserable, sick child, bedridden child, but still she was giving the love and affection to both the people, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. And that thing, they felt that she was just like an angel. And that helped, that filled their house with the sunshine of love. Okay, so these lines you should remember. When you are writing the answers, you make the answer of your own. But if these lines you will put up in the answers, it will be really effective. Like sunshine of love, precious burden. Okay, then these lines, the angel who had come into their house disguised as sick, helpless, miserable. Then about Mrs. Joe Thompson, how she became so irritable. These words you should remember. And this last para, all the conclusion kind it is given. And this is the line by the author. Author is telling now that how this child has turned their life, the dry life, into a very beautiful life. Okay, did you understand? So this way the story has come to an end. Okay, now I will give you some questions. You can write it down.